Well, good morning and welcome to Big Spring Today. I'm Ray Canaveri. Today, we're talking about the power of community and what can happen when people come together to make a difference. My guest is Keith Stelter, founder of the Stelter Initiative. We'll discuss the organization's mission, the incredible success of the Moss Creek Lake cleanup recently that removed more than 40 tons of debris. And Keith is involved in a lot of things, and so happy to have you into the studio this morning, Keith.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It was a easy drive in from Odessa. It's normally a little bit busier on the highway, so I don't know. It was a nice surprise.
It seems like that stretch is getting busier and busier all the time, though.
Hey, that just means more people, more jobs, more wealth for the area. I'm all for it.
Let's start out by talking about the Stelter Initiative. Many people may not know the story of it. Give us some background. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it started out with basically a lot of people complaining online of the trash. No, really. Like there's trash in there.
People complain online?
People do complain online, and I have been known to be the type of guy to be online. Actually started a good friend of mine, and people will know him from Big Spring here. A guy named Scott Emerson has a sister named Janie Snelson, who's a good friend and mentor of mine, and she was up in Lubbock, and they made a joke about the official flag of Midland was the plastic bag because of all the trash, and she was upset about that. And
I've never heard that.
I didn't like that either, and for those who don't know me, I have a little bit of a following on LinkedIn.
Well, you do a lot. I was going to say you do a lot of different things.
And started out with some sales and a few other things, and I just kind of fell into it. Some of my posts I've had, the average views I get over the years is about 2 million views a year on LinkedIn there,
That's awesome.
Which is a weird deal. But anyway, she makes this comment, and I decide, hey, let's see if we can do something about it. And I actually stole the idea. Maybe there was a guy, I think his name's Scott Pressler, and he goes around, and he was doing these cleanups around in Baltimore and a few other areas.
I know of him.
And I actually went to one years ago. He had one in Dallas, and I met him, and a little bit of a different character, to say the least, but I think his heart was in the right place and trying to clean up some trash. So I was like, okay, let's see if we can do something here. I put up a post, and the first one was in Odessa, Faudree and Yukon Road. It was by my kids' school. I was tired of all the kids driving by this dumping ground of tires and mattresses and broken chairs. And for whatever reason, I do a post. Let's meet there Friday, 9 a.m. and see if we can clean up some trash. And 20 people showed up. And actually more people from San Angelo. One guy,
really?
Company, a roustabout company there, showed up. And we picked up about 3 tons of trash, from tires to, and I didn't know all the rules of all the area, they don't take tires at the landfill.
Did you have a name for what you were doing, or you just said, hey, show up?
Hey, I'm just some guy. Was just, like how it kind of started out. And because it worked that time, we decided to do it the next month. And, 30 people showed up this time.
And so how are you reaching people? Social media?
Social
or
media,
word of mouth?
on LinkedIn. And there was a little bit of word of mouth, but basically my posts had enough, views, I guess, or, platform was big enough that people started hearing about it.
Okay.
So we do a second one, and it was in Odessa by the Sewell dealership. And, okay, well, this is working out. And then we do a few all around the area the first year. And this kind of takes off, and we, end up even shutting down at one point a lane of highway like 20, Interstate 20.
How far back does this go? Are we talking
20. This is 2024. So we
Okay.
started March 2024. And, the odd person would be like, hey, how can I donate? And even a couple oil companies like Civitas, they were like, hey, we're looking for, a community organization to kind of, support. What's your tax ID? We're gonna donate to you. And
Not many people have that offer.
And I was like, hey, I'm just some guy. Like, sorry, it's not really a charity. It was just like a group of people. So it kind of fell off, even though there was a few people that, sent some money here and there because I was basically paying for the tire disposal. It was $7 a tire. and buying some
It's that
gloves.
expensive to get rid of tires?
It is. You can get some better deals if you haul in bulk, but if you're gonna go somewhere here and just drop off the tires, there was a gentleman in West Odessa who was taking tires at the time that I found. But eventually he was so far behind for another long story. He was grinding them up and hauling them away, but he couldn't get power supply to his yard in West Odessa because of a fight with Encore. So he was running things by diesel generator. He has like 75,000 tires in this yard, and this thing, it's crazy.
I think you should have come up with the name, I'm Just Some Guy. That would have been
we kind of threw that around too. But anyway, so the first year we picked up 69 tons of trash. It cost me $5,400 out of my pocket.
Wow.
And it was good. Here I thought I was doing good. It actually made a couple people mad, I guess, because
why would people be mad about getting rid of debris?
The odd person, there was one guy was like, what's his ulterior motive or something? Then there was another group that, people saw their budget and then they had only picked up, 5 or 6 tons of trash and stuff. And they were like, where's the money? And I was like, Keith, what are you doing? And I was just like, hey, we were just getting
People
together.
are crazy.
They can be very overzealous. They're very overzealous. So, I had some great people reach out. Jonna Smoot, she was working at Citibank at the time.
Yeah, I met her at the cleanup.
Great lady.
Yeah.
And she works at Landmark Engineering now. Shout out to her. Reach out if you need any engineering help for your facilities. They're a great company. They're actually originally out of Canada, so when you get your drawings, you own your drawings, unlike some of the other alternatives out there. So reach out to Jonna Smoot. You can find her on LinkedIn. But she knew paperwork, and she was on the boards, and then another guy came out. I got asked to clean up a homeless encampment in Midland. And it was a complicated situation because they didn't want to chase out all the homeless people, so they didn't want to get the city involved. It was by some railway tracks, so then the railway was like, this is our property, you can't go near it, and it was just like, well, we don't want to go near the tracks, we just want to go on the part that's covered in all this trash. Anyway, through some finagling and whatever, we found out, they were like, hey, I know the railway police are going to be out of town on this weekend. Why don't you go clean it up on that day? And I was like, okay,
I love this.
Good. Sounds good. So we pick up 20 tons of trash. We have skid steers and a few other things. And one of the guys that came out, he's like, man, you need to make this in a real charity. I'll pay for it with my lawyers and stuff. A guy named Jamie Fowler, Telus Environmental. Shout out to him. And
he's from Midland?
Yeah, he's from Midland. Great guy. And so he got the lawyers and Jonna, and they did all the paperwork up. So now we're an official charity. You can donate, and it's nice tax write-off. And Jonna's all over about, like, if you even donate your time, you send us an invoice with all your W-9. We write you a nice little letter. And
so it was you named it the Stelter Initiative then, or no?
Yeah, that's when she's like, what are you going to call this thing? And I was like, the odd person would call it, this Keith's Cleanups and a few other things. And I told my dad, and he was like, well, whatever. And I was like, okay, Dad, I'll name it kind of after you, the Stelter Initiative. Actually, the initiative part comes, once again, Janie Snelson Scott's sister. She has a friend who helps a lot of kids over up in Kenya. And so part of her name of her charity had initiative in it. And I was like, I like that. So I'm going to put Stelter Initiative. Okay, that all kind of works out. And then I can tell my dad I named it after him. And all the lessons on the farm I got from just going out. Don't complain, just go do it, and you'll get it done. And it's amazing when you get enough people out there and equipment, how much you can really get done.
I like the Stelter Initiative. I think that Just Some Guy runs a close second, though.
That was definitely there. I don't know would have been taken as seriously, but it's worked out. We did 69 tons the first year, 80 tons last year, and now after this big spring cleanup, I think we're at 81 and a half tons of trash for this year. So we actually beat already last year's totals, which was a big goal, and to try and get bigger and better, and we did that. So we'll have a few more cleanups, and The big thing, what we were really trying to do was raise money to. The idea was I got it from South Texas. A lot of guys got together down there with some of the oil companies and negotiated rates with some of the roustabout companies.
Yeah.
They'd get discounted days when they were down. They would just cover their costs to go around on a lot of the roads, the sites, the little dumping sites that you see along everywhere, and they would send those guys out and they would clean constantly. And eventually they got ahead of the trash problem. And, it's probably a little bit bigger problem up here. Like if you go to the Texas, I think, .gov website, I think you can look up, there's over 3 million abandoned tires between Ector and Midland County. Just
Wow.
in tires. So, and the biggest problem is that there's nowhere really to take them. Like anywhere else, you take them to a dump or recycling centers, you really got to hunt down places to take tires.
And when you find these places, what do they do with them?
So I believe the biggest ones is they either haul it away in big vans to El Paso, or I believe there's another one about not too far. I forget the name of the town down here, but I believe they grind them up and add it for, bedding for playgrounds or additives for
tracks.
asphalt.
Yeah, you
that
see a
kind
lot
of
of
stuff.
tracks. Yeah.
So that's what that goes to. But there's still plenty of other regular trash. Like at the Big Spring cleanup here, the weights. So the trash and the debris got hauled away to the new dump, and that weighed 22.53 tons. And then we had 70 tractor tires and 200 passenger tires hauled out of there. And so
That's crazy. I can't even, having just been up there once, I can't imagine that many tires up there, just getting them up there.
I think some of them, there was an old, kind of like a
go-kart, right?
track or something that was used as some of the bumpers, but then it obviously wasn't taken care of. So they're overgrown and then they're messed up. So I think there was some, originally a purpose for them, but after time, and I was not familiar with the lake when this came up. And it's my understanding that lake's been open for a very, very long
Yes.
time. So a lot of different changes has occurred there.
Many older people told me that when they were younger, they used to go there. And I was thinking as you were telling the story, I'm a firm believer that sometimes the best things happen from things that we didn't plan, because it sounds like 10 years ago, you never would have imagined that you would be removing debris.
10 years I wasn't even in the area. It was
Canada?
well, we've been that's where I originally grew up. I grew up on a farm in northern Canada in Alberta. And Alberta was basically the Texas version of Canada's version of Texas. And, instead of being obsessed with football, we're obsessed with hockey. And instead of an extreme summer, we got an extreme winter. And it's all big lifted trucks, ranches, oil and gas, and maybe too many rednecks and guns. And so coming down to Texas, it was a good fit. We moved, I originally came in 2006 with the Barnett Shale, was Schlumberger. And then me and my wife, she's from Cleburne, Texas, actually. And we moved back up and spent 5 years there and came back 2015. I think I moved here 2019. I was with Weatherford at the time and been here ever since. And it's been really good to my family, especially through the COVID times.
Right.
It was really, really good to be here. So giving back to the community has always been kind of, hey, if you got it good, give back.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the Moss Creek Lake cleanup. We'll talk about that next when Big Spring Today continues. Happy Tuesday, 8/22. And tomorrow it will be Big Spring Today, and we'll have Tammy from the Big Spring Museum. We'll talk about a big event they have coming up Saturday night. So I hope you'll join us at 8 o'clock tomorrow. My guest today, Keith Stelter of the Stelter Initiative, and many people in this area know you, Keith, from your recent endeavor where you led the charge to clean up Moss Lake. How did you get involved with that? I know Scott Emerson works side by side with you, and you're friends with his sister. So Talk about that.
So we had recently done a cleanup in West Odessa, not a little, but a pretty large illegal dumping site. We got about 20 tons of trash and tires out of that place, and he saw it online. So Scott Emerson's like, well, how about let's all go this Moss Creek Lake? And I was like, Scott, I don't know what that is. But if you think it's good, Scott, and you got it set up and you know where it is, I'll start, trying to organize some folks, and we'll reach out and see what we can do. And Scott's a big celebrity in his own right around here, and rightfully so. He's on a lot of boards and does a lot of good. There's lots of organizations out there that sometimes they're paying their people, Scott, and especially his sister Janie. Shout out to Kathy Carpenter as well. They do lots of volunteering. I work with them on the API, AADE. Scott does lots of charity shoots. So when
Scott's everywhere.
And so when he's like, "Hey, let's do this," I'm like, "Okay, you just tell me what you need, and we'll get it." So we had volunteers, and then he was like, "Well, we need some more skid steers. Okay, we need some more paint." So we got Sherwin Williams, Chance Reed. Shout out to him. He did a great job. The oil field division, they're the ones painting all the tanks and all the vessels around here. Well, they brought out a ton of metal paint and red, white, and blue, and heck, we didn't even get a chance to use it all out there. So big shout out to him. We had Culligan Water. We had all kinds of people out there, demolition companies, construction companies. Had a
there was a lot of heavy equipment I saw rolling in there.
Lawnmowers. I even had one of the senior engineers for ConocoPhillips, senior production engineer, a guy named Kenny Estrada. If you know Kenny, he's quite the character in his own right, and is usually getting into trouble more so than doing a good deed. And he brought out his weed eater, and he was just taking care of business, taking down weeds. There was lots of lawn care people. We had barbecue. What is it? Double L Barbecue, I believe was the name.
Sage Place also
yes,
was out there. Yep.
Yes, thank you. I was, and there's tons. My company, Freedom Valve, brought out a skid steer and trailer. We had people from Sapphire Specialties Construction help, and they give me the time to do that. I'd mentioned Jonas Smoot and Landmark Engineering. My wife's Nordic Ice. They helped out. It's Nova Compression. Man,
I know. I think the first time I met you, you were making your way up there for the first time. As you got out there and looked at it before the cleanup started, what were your initial thoughts?
I didn't know exactly where all the big stuff was. So at first I saw this one pile. I was like, well, there's definitely lots of painting. Landscaping. I didn't think it was as many tires. I didn't get to drive to the big tire dump site. And
where were they? Way in the back?
Way in the back on top.
Yeah.
Basically past some of the other side of the lake. You kind of got to cross the dam and get over there. So I was like, okay, well, there's definitely trash. But for how many people we got coming out here, I don't know if this is all going to because if you have these volunteers, they come out, they need something to do. Otherwise, They feel like, hey, I'm not contributing, I'm wasting my time, and then they won't come back. But if you get them busy for an hour, everybody does their part, it generally works out, and you cover a lot of ground. And definitely having Scott and the people around there, the city folks, shout out to them. They came out in force.
A lot of city people came out.
And they knew what needed to be done, and the skid steers worked on, reconditioning a lot of the beaches. We scooped up a lot of the old broken up concrete, and just piles of dirt, spread it back around. They picked up all the old wood and steel metal frames, and we were just pulling, I think we pulled 8 fishing rods out of
Really?
Out of the lake, just and some of them were very, very nice. It was what's going on?
How did they get here?
Why would you just?
And who was on the other end of it that let this?
Yeah, so It was great to see. And like I said, 22.5 tons of just debris. And then it was a conservative estimate on the tires of what they weigh, because a tractor tire could weigh anywhere between 400 and 600 pounds. So if you do, 70 times, 400, it's 28,000. And I was just like, it could have been way more than that. But I was like, generally, one of the first comments was, how do you get, 19 tons of tires out of that? And I'm like, well, sir, this is, you could do this. You can gladly Google it yourself. But you could do some numbers here. And that's why it's funny, the tire estimates that you'll get in places. No, I'm not even going to go there.
But it's hard to get a gauge of it, right?
Very much so. And the fact there are so many tires, like we've come across tires with the stickers, the sales stickers still on them.
That's crazy.
Tires with rims, tires like just still inflated. And I'm like, what? How did this get? But anyway.
But I think and I don't remember if we were talking about this on air or off air. It all blends in sometimes for me. But there really is no place when you have tires. There's not really a place you can go like the tire dump-off spot.
No, and talking with some of the folks, in the powers to be here, like how do we address some of the trash issues? In a lot of other places in Texas, you take your water bill in, once a month. My wife's from Cleburne, Texas. You can fill up the back of the truck with all your junk from the house that month. You go to the dump. They stamp your water bill, and you can take a load of trash that, the old mattress or the chairs or anything, and there's, no questions asked. But here, since they privatize all the dumps, you got to pay for it all, or they won't take it, or, there's a lot of limiting factors. So I don't know. I guess it's just human nature. If they're going to get rid of it, they're going to get rid of it, and it's obviously not going to be in places you really want it to be.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with your organization, and I have no way to confirm it, but the things that were going on up at that lake, allegedly,
I don't think it
was
very allegedly. There was definitely, Scott at one point told me there was some ladies of the night set up in things.
That's what I heard.
And they had to clear that out, and I'm like, well, that comes, when you let a place get dilapidated or, go south because people aren't attending it or you're not taking care of it, that kind of activity goes in there, right? Like any just part of a rundown part of town. Like the bad stuff usually happens on the wrong side of the tracks sometimes, they say, and that's because nobody's paying attention. When people are actively using an area and the families are there, it's pretty hard to set up shop for some of that illicit stuff. Not to say that it can't happen or doesn't happen, but, hopefully they get the lake cleaned up. It is, way better than it was before, and they get a caretaker in there and they can reopen it, and hopefully people appreciate what they have right next door and start, supporting it.
Well, I got there a little bit later. I know Scott told me when he got there about 6:30 in the morning that day, July 18th, I think it was, that there were probably 20. By the time 9 or 10 rolled around, there were over 100 people out there working, which is incredible. 108
is the official list that I got. I might have missed a few people here and there. We actually had, it was funny, so many people that at one point a family came in, a family of, I believe 5, came in and just set up on the other side of the lake, got their coolers out and their chairs, and just started camping out by the lake. And at one point, we were all kind of looking at,
open.
And we're kind of looking around, and I'm driving around checking on some folks, and I looked down, and I was like, wait a minute, are those people? Are they camping? And I couldn't blame them. We had barbecue set up for some of the people. It sure looked like a whole lot of activity was going on. And Scott was like, did you kick them out? And I was like, you know what? This is your town, Scott. You might know them.
Right.
Maybe they think, I was like, and if anybody's going to go ruin somebody's day in Big Spring, I'm going to let it be you. So, a couple people showed up right in the morning. They wanted to kayak or something. We had to explain to them, turn around. There was another lake you can go drive to. Scott was giving them directions for that, so it was a couple comical things happened,
But I have to say, I probably got there around 9 or 9:30, and drove around a little bit in there, and just having not seen it but heard about what it looked like, I could see you knew things had been improved because, for example, the overhangs around the picnic tables, you could see they had been freshly painted. And I know Scott had told me before the event that the playground area on the backside over there toward where all the tires were, that had been weed whacked because he told me you can't even get there. The weeds had grown so high by that, but by the time I got there, it had all been whacked down, and you could actually get to the playground. Now the equipment out there was pretty much run down, but yeah.
Yeah, the playground area still needed quite some work, but when I first got there the day before, like there was no even accessing it. It still needs some work and probably some landscaping around it, and the monkey bars and stuff like that, and some TLC could probably bring that place back pretty quickly. But for a massive improvement, the bathrooms I think was the biggest thing. A lot of plumbers
Huge.
came.
Yeah.
They reburied a line. They had a lady come in there. She just went to town on cleaning it. A couple toilets, I believe, were replaced. I saw some of the pictures of the bathrooms beforehand, and it was not a happy sight. So I believe all that got taken care of. I actually should have probably did better job going by there. I think they were still working on it by the time I left, but major improvement in the bathroom facilities for sure that had definitely been let go. And just having the grass mowed, the trash taken away, where you can go park your car in a nice safe place is a huge benefit there. They were filling potholes on the dam. At one point, I was like, Scott, we got to do something about these holes that are in the top of the dam, because I got a big diesel truck, and driving across that dam wasn't any fun because I'm bouncing so hard. I was like, am I going to bounce off into the water here? Like,
Yeah.
These are some pretty big holes. And a good job by the city getting there in time and filling them in that you could cross there back and forth. And actually, it was wide enough that you could get two cars to pass each
Right.
other. So
Yeah, they were even resurfacing the shoreline down there too, and that looked a lot better on the backside of the lake. So,
Yep. No, they did that a couple other sections on this. I guess the longer camping is on, I guess, closer to the entrance, and they cleaned that up. I know there's probably still, water and a few other services that need to be updated, but, overall, I had one number thrown at me, and I have no idea if it's accurate. I guess I'd have to talk to a construction guy for the manpower and what we moved in that day. Would have been, a company that takes care of that stuff would have been like a $250,000 kind of job for,
yeah.
what got done out there for the amount of man hours. So, kudos to everybody that came out from Big Spring and Odessa and Midland, and it was a really big effort.
Yeah, it was a West Texas effort. I mean, a lot of people from Big Spring, but people came in from other areas.
Yeah, Odessa, Midland. I'm trying to think. Greenwood. Who else came out there? It was.
Yeah, I know it was pretty widespread.
Yep, and we had Senator Kevin Sparks. He's the president of Discovery Operating.
I heard he had to go to a birthday party too, and still stop by his grandson or something.
Yeah, his grandson was turning 1, and it was at 10 a.m. But his wife gave him permission to come out as long as he came out early enough. And he did an interview, I think, with ABC at one point, who was also out there, and during the rain. But I guess the rain ruined the audio so badly that they couldn't even use it. So Kevin came out there and talked and did all this stuff, but nobody will ever get to see it. So good for him for trying and being a good sport about the whole thing. And he came out there. The mayor of Big Spring was out there. I think the mayor of Coahoma or something was out there as well, as my understanding.
I know the fire chief was out there, Jay Holt. He brought a tractor out there. Yeah, I saw Susan Himes with her roller. She was out there. Yeah, a lot of people came together. It was a great event. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. My guest is Keith Stelter of the Stelter Initiative, and this is Big Spring Today. 8:39. My guest this morning on Big Spring Today is Keith Stelter of the Stelter Initiative. We're so happy to have him in, just kind of finishing up on the Moss Creek cleanup. And yeah, I mean, I think your organization thankfully came in, Keith, and along with Scott Emerson, and got that thing going. But really, it's now kind of up to everyone else to get the thing cleaned up and reopened. Of course, it's ultimately the city who's going to decide when that happens. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing, I don't think, stopping someone from doing just like yourself and Scott. Lead a cleanup effort. Go out there and help improve it.
I think they're hoping that like a private entity or private group will go over to them and want to take it over and manage it on, the city's
Well, they're
behalf.
talking about a public-private partnership. That was at the last city council meeting.
I believe one of the volunteers out there, a lady named Tracy Dahmers, had spoken a little bit about doing something to that degree. I don't know. I would have to reach out to Tracy. Maybe, Tracy, you can elaborate more if you've talked to any of the people in Big Spring about that. But it's, first things first, who's going to manage it? They also got a caretaker out there that's kind of who, that was part of the, some of the bigger mess is here we're all cleaning up this part of the lake, and then you have this trailer with all this debris and junk and stuff parked out front of it. And I'm like, well, okay, we're all over here. How come you all aren't doing your due diligence, to take care of that? Now, I think there's, certain things they got to, address and timelines and, proper procedures to do that. But, I think once they get that done, get someone to manage it, I think it's a pretty nice place. Like, to have a lake nearby, I'll be honest, once again, no idea. A lot of people I spoke to had no idea there was a lake there. And it's a pretty nice little, I know it's not gigantic, but you can definitely put a boat in and go
For
fishing.
this area, water is so scarce. I mean, there's not a lake in Midland or Odessa. So to have that out there, it really, I've said it before, it's kind of like a hidden jewel for Big Spring. And yeah, if we can get it going. I know a lot of people have said to me they have great memories of it growing up around Big Spring. So yeah, if we can get it there, that would be great. But I know everyone does appreciate, even though there are some interesting people that, think otherwise, but I appreciate your effort to get that thing done. And I think it's on the path to opening up again. I know they, City Council, Mayor Moore said that let's get it done so that before the end of the summer, people can at least have a limited amount. I think they're going to try and start with maybe like Friday to Sunday it's open, or Thursday to Sunday, so people can get out there. So
that'd be great. If they have, you could have a small little concert or party or, fundraiser out there. Just it is a place where people would want to go, and it's easily accessible off of I-20 here. And why not? Like you said, there isn't a whole lot of lakes in this area. You got to drive quite a ways to get to water out here.
Let's talk about some other things. What's on the radar for Stelter Initiative now? Any projects on the horizon for you?
Phillips 66 has reached out to us. They have around a lot of their plants south of Midland, a lot of the roads that their plants are on, people use them for illegal dumping. So we're trying to identify a few areas where we can do that, but a lot of those roads are very busy, so it's a matter of getting with the county, finding police help to control the traffic. It's amazing that we'll be on the side of the road trying to clean up, and people will actually get mad at us because we're slowing down their day. We had one guy who actually, there was a cleanup, and he literally got so mad that he turned around
and came back and yelled at you?
Yell at us for impeding and slowing down his day. And,
well, listen, it's all about him. Didn't you know that?
It is. It takes a lot of different types of people to make the world go round. I understand that, and hey, maybe I don't. Honestly, I don't know. I've been you would have thought picking up trash would have been a, can't make anybody mad kind of
Right.
thing.
Somebody
And
would say, wow, thank God somebody's
I-
picking up the trash.
no, that is not the case. And you'd think you'd always get support from it and the police, and they're sometimes very hard to get a hold of, or, I get it. I don't want to go out on the Saturday morning. I want to sleep in as well too and take care of that. Like it's only a couple hours. We try and do it once or one every month or one every 2 months. So it's we'll see what happens here. We're trying to, like I said, do our part and then hopefully get enough money to help accelerate the process a little bit as well. And it does, once, a couple people have said they bring out their kids as well for the cleanups, and then their kids, when they're driving, they'll go, "Dad, look at that in the ditch. There's a chair over there that's all broken and stuff." They start noticing some of the trash, whereas before,
Right.
it just was kind of, they were blind to it. So it's definitely everywhere, but it's doable if we all kind of do our part.
And it's funny. I've been around the sun a few times, and back in the day, people were very conscious about throwing out trash and littering, and sometimes it seems like, I'm generalizing, sometimes it seems like people just don't care anymore. It's like, whatever I need to do.
Well, so, growing up outside of Texas, I even heard of the Don't Mess with Texas,
Right.
initiatives. It's about littering and stuff. Now, I don't know if I should go there or not, but talking with a lot of the environmental officers and, some of the folks around, there is certain groups that have come in, definitely from outside of Texas, that it's part of the culture to just go just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. And, they've asked, what can we do about that? I've said the odd billboard, like, hey, dumping your trash on the side of the road in the middle of the night is not the way to go here.
Right.
You take it to the dump. There's free dump days too. Most counties have that, large item drop off as well, for your couches and your mattresses and stuff. Tires is still going to be an issue. If that is the case and you're just like, man, I'm going to dump this tire off, whether, it goes or not, find me on LinkedIn. I'll try and help you out with a place to take the tire.
Well, you talked about maybe one of your not so favorite moments when the guy turned around because you were picking up trash and yelled at you. What's the most rewarding experience you've had? Because it sounds like you've done many of these type of things. Any one thing stick out where you go, yeah, that was amazing?
We had one, so we'll get calls for veterans who will, their mobility's not what it used to be. And we had one in Odessa where, it wasn't too bad. His trailer, he basically could get the trash to his door, and it was just piling up on his little deck there. So we cleaned up his yard, a whole trash trailer worth. But that led to another one in Midland where a gentleman, Vietnam veteran, very old, could barely walk, was living in a donated 20-foot.
You were going to say a van down by the river.
Not quite, but a van down by the river from that skit probably would have been better for what he was living in. He was living in a 20-foot RV for quite a number of years, and wouldn't let anybody in this thing. And there was a lady kind of trying to help him out, and his medical was, bad enough where she eventually gets in this trailer, and lo and behold, it is a disaster.
Aye, aye, aye.
And the guy didn't have much. He had a couple chihuahuas to his name, and because he couldn't always let them out, and because he doesn't get around, well, he had puppy pads probably stacked at least a foot or two
Wow.
deep. So you can imagine the smell in there. Plus, he never threw anything away. So we got two trailer full of trash just out of this thing. But this thing's wrecked, right? The smell is unbelievable. So we had enough donations after that cleanup where we got him an RV. We got it hauled there here recently. And so the guy is living in something, at least I would consider livable. It might not be luxury, but compared to what it was before. So I would say that was the most, rewarding. Shout out to Terry Hayden if you're listening in Midland, you did a good thing reaching out to some folks. And Joseph Armand Diaz, I believe he was the one that kind of got it on our radar as well. He's a safety guy looking for a job. I would highly recommend. He worked for Chevron in the past, a few others. Anybody out there looking for some great safety guys? He's got a ranch north of Odessa. He would love a 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off rotation. So he helps veterans and stuff like that. And but that helping that veteran get a new place to live, get him out of the filth that he was living in, is probably the best story we got. We got a few. We got some funny ones. You find things on the side of the road, and I don't know if I'm pushing the limits of radio licensability here, but of course, it was one of our volunteers, I think 10-year-old sons, that found a 14-inch pink dildo along the side of the road. And he was like, "Daddy, what's this?" And it was like, we all, okay, let's not explain what that is.
Yeah.
But we all knew what it was, and it was quite bright, and you could not miss it.
Just let him keep guessing.
Yes. I'm sure it was. He'll figure it out.
We'll take a quick break. We'll wrap things up with Keith Stelter of the Stelter Initiative on Big Spring Today. Wrapping up on Big Spring Today, my guest is Keith Stelter from the Stelter Initiative. And Keith, you're pretty busy outside of the cleanups and finding various things on the side of the road. You have your own podcast. Let's talk about a little bit about that.
So how the cleanups kind of started in the first place was I got a sales job. One of my first sales jobs led to doing a lot of work on social media and, started marketing the first products I sold in wireline on there. And then COVID hit, and then I had to become the product. I didn't want to wait for the phone to ring, so I took to LinkedIn and just started doing posts and telling stories about some of the lessons learned and trouble I got into in the wireline in the oil and gas space. All kinds of, from lost sources to using magnets and a bunch of different things that led into a podcast. We call it Tally Book Troubleshooting, and basically had folks come on it and tell unique stories about how they solved XYZ kind of problem in the way the oil and gas industry usually comes up with that. And that led to, more sales jobs. And now I'm vice president of sales for Freedom Valve. They do a lot of PSVs, like safety valve.
And where are they? Midland?
They're in Odessa.
Okay.
And also am the vice president of sales for Sapphire Specialties.
Oh, you're wearing a lot of hats, brother.
And they do construction, mechanical construction, lots of stainless. A great guy over there, Oscar Carnero. Highly recommend if you need anything built. We're doing SWDs and pipelines, and we even did a 33,000 square foot building. It's a great little place, and I'm working on my pilot's license as well.
And watching your son play football.
Son playing football, 9U. He's a big boy.
9U on his way to the NFL, right?
He's 145 pounds. I sometimes joke. My wife will kill me.
She's gonna kill you anyway.
She's gonna kill me anyway. I made the joke, but I was like, she probably was with a guy like Jason Witten or something for how big this kid is. But he calls me dad, and so when he's in the Super Bowl, I'll still be dad to him then. So good on her for getting a big giant son who's handsome and smart. So I can't complain there.
All right, you regrouped and saved yourself there.
Yeah, I actually quick little funny story, sometimes a little too, free with the words. It's we recently my kids wanted to get baptized, and we were in Cleburne, Texas, getting baptized, and I said, I'll get baptized with you. And I made that joke to the pastor, and I forgot where I was. And so he just looked at me and was like, "Keith, that's a great attitude to have. That's just so positive." And I was just like...
And were you getting death darts from the wife or no?
She wasn't in the room, but the other guy that was helping, he was an oil field guy too. He was laughing so hard, and I just, Keith, you got to learn to read the room a little bit better. So,
but a little levity is never a bad thing.
Very true, very true. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about what we are doing. And if anybody wants to donate, they can go to thestelterinitiative.com. We finally got a little bit of a website going. we're still working on it. I think the donate button does finally work, which took a
that's good.
lot more effort, to do than I thought. And we've had a couple donations since the cleanup. And
talk about your podcast, though. I know you do that. Where can people find that, and what's it about?
So a lot of it is, if I'm just interviewing someone one-on-one, and I generally do it on Tuesdays. We call it Tally Book Tuesdays. It's for doing, oil field problems. For instance, back in the day, a lot of people, Janie Snelson, she helped develop a lot of the techniques for fueling up frack fleets. Because back in the day when they were fracking around here, they would have to unhook and drive into town and fuel up the frack trucks. And she worked with a lot of the fuel companies, and why don't we fuel it up like they do on rig sites? And that's turned into a whole industry around here. That was many, many a moon ago that she did that, because they were going to lose their shorts from the lost downtime and all the hours needed for the drivers. So it was little stories like that. And then I'll do events like coming up next week. The Produce Water Society Conference is at the Bush Center, 11th, 12th, and 13th. I'll have a little booth set up there, and I'll interview some of the folks attending, some of the subject matter experts, some of the people attending, and we'll get it out there in case you can't make the conference, and you can see a little snippet, idea what's out there. And you can get it all on LinkedIn for the most part. I used to post it on a few others. Nobody was really paying attention to me anywhere else.
You get your most traction on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn. And it's, when you get 10,000 views on there, it's not grandma looking at
right.
It's your customers, it's business folks. Maybe it's predominantly sales, but, I've been approached by some pretty important high-up oil folks that wouldn't have known me otherwise had I not been posting on there. So it definitely works. You never know who's watching, but they're definitely watching.
And if somebody knows about a cleanup, whether it's here or in the Yinderland, maybe you can reach out to you on LinkedIn. Would that be the best place to get the process started?
That's the best place, or there's my email. If you go to the Stelter Initiative, there's an email address on there. Heck, I think even my phone number is on there at some point too, which, hey, shoot me a text, shoot me a pin of where the location is, a couple pictures. We'll check it out. We'll try and get it cleaned up. If it's a smaller spot, like just somebody stopped with their pickup and dropped a bunch of stuff off, those are the types of cleanup areas we're trying to get our roustabout companies, like money raised for that kind of cleanup, where they can stop there. They can stop at this point. They can stop at another point and kind of clean it up. That's what we're hoping to do with the roustabout money that we're trying to raise. Like I said, we basically cover the cost for them for a day. If they get canceled for whatever reason, we try and help people, stay employed and clean up some trash in the area in the same breath.
Well, I really appreciate the visit. It's been educational, and I've definitely laughed a few times. You're pretty funny, man.
Oh, we could really get into some stuff. We could let's go to politics and religion and really let loose.
We'll save that for another show, Keith. Hey, I appreciate it, man, and the station's always here to help you in all your projects. So we appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, tomorrow we will talk history of Howard County and Big Spring, as we'll be talking to folks from the Big Spring Museum. This has been Big Spring Today. I'm Ray Canaveri. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on Big Spring Today.